Hi, it's Sheridan here from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support, especially if you work on your own. And today I've just had one of those sort of, this is why this is working the way it is moments, and I wanted to share. I've just been working through something with my AI assistant, as most of us do these days, to forward my thinking, to get some ideas and progress an idea that I'm having. And, it's really useful. Don't get me wrong. We should definitely be using these tools to help us move more quickly with things. But earlier today, I also had a one-to-one meeting with a person who was also helping me flesh out explore different challenges. So slightly different tasks. One was to sort of pinpoint exactly what the challenge is and how to overcome it. And the other one is I kind of know what I'm doing, but I just have a few gaps in that. And the things that struck me is how those two sessions are very useful, but in completely different ways. And the reason for this is that when I'm working with my AI assistant, I ask the questions and it comes up with answers. And then I glance at those answers. I maybe ask a clarification question. I have an idea. I ask it to refine. But the fact is that it's doing all of the heavy lifting. I'm not really having to think, which is why when it's something that I kind of know what I want to do and why I want to do it, and I've just got a few gaps or I just need to get there more quickly, that makes a lot of sense. This morning, when I was talking to a person, they were asking the questions and I was having to do the heavy lifting because I was having to come up with the answers. And we know from learning science that when you use your brain to actually work things out, the learning, the understanding is going much, much deeper. When we're not having to do that hard cognitive work, nothing's actually staying in our brain. Nothing is really being internalized. So we can't retrieve it later. We can't fully understand it and we can't fully explain it. So this was a real aha moment for me because I've been learning a lot recently about the science of learning, about how we actually learn. And then the conference I went to recently about sort of evidence-based practice has just reinforced a lot of these things. We live in a very different world than we did 5 years ago. And these tools are not going to go away and they absolutely have their purpose. But, and I've written this before in other blogs, what we shouldn't be doing is outsourcing our thinking to AI because it's just so superficial at that level. When we want to think deeply about something, we have to do the hard work. When we want to design training or learning experiences that are really going to change behavior, we have to make sure that our delegates do the heavy lifting, that they do the work, that we don't just present them with slick slides and checklists and playbooks that look very pretty and have got all the answers in it, but because they didn't get involved in finding those answers for themselves, it's just going to slip straight over their heads. It is not going to land. It is certainly not going to stick. And this is why people still come to the drop-ins. Even if they've talked through a problem with AI, VIP members still come to the drop-ins because to talk about it with other human beings means that, yes, they get answers and ideas and suggestions, but they also get asked more questions. And that makes them think more deeply about what it is they're trying to do. And it also sparks creativity. And I find this too when I work with people one-to-one. It's very much a partnership, a collaborative program. I am not being a coach and only asking questions for people to think about, but I do pose questions, of course. And the person that I'm working with has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. They have to really think things through. They have to make sure that they understand what it is they're trying to achieve and the benefits of this. And they have to make sure they have really gotten to grips with what the brief actually is. What are the outcomes? Because anyone can use AI to say, design me a half-day session covering these 5 objectives. But what is actually the outcome that we're looking for? What do we know about the audience? What do we know about the context and the environment that they're going back into? What do we know about how this is going to be supported and followed up in the workplace? These are all really important questions that need to be discussed with a human. And when you work collaboratively, you have a partner who is able to switch between modes super easily. So we can ask those probing questions that really make you think, but we can also provide suggestions and solutions and ideas without you specifically having to ask. And that's why there's real benefit in working with a person one-to-one. It's why the drop-ins are my favorite part of my week. And it's why working with me one-to-one, even if it's just for an hour or two, can move you forward absolutely leaps and bounds. So that was my aha moment today. I'm sure you've had similar. If you want to hear similar thoughts like this, do check out the rest of the YouTube channel. Come and join our VIP community. At least subscribe to the mailing list and join our Facebook group, where I do try to share thoughts that will help move you forward in your learning design practice.